When does the TV show come out?
I wish I knew. It's taking forever. All I know is they're putting the finishing touches on the contract. So I went and pitched it last July. I don't know, next July. It's taking forever. But I would just keep an eye out for it. So it'll be on a network you know. That's all I can say. Any other questions?
I'm here. Was Emma Gatewood the first woman to do the Appalachian Trail or the first person?
She was the first person to do it in its entirety alone. Since other people had done it with people.
Said woman.
What's that?
I noticed the headline said woman, first woman.
Right.
And I wonder your thoughts on
it's
headlines
specified.
that do that when it's sometimes just the first person.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's specified in the article, but yeah, that's true about the headline.
You said that you got to 33%. That's this year? Or in the past?
Right, that was from March of 2018 to March of 2019. So it's this arbitrary year I picked since Overlook launch.
So I'm curious, why not just set, okay, now we're going to reach parity right now? Why does it have to be gradual?
It's a lot more, and I wish I almost included this, like a list of our daily pitches. It's really hard for us to hear about these dead women. It still is. The other day, the list that I almost included in this was maybe about 25 names, and only one was a woman. And so we researched that woman really carefully. I'll say that Overlooked has helped us reshape our criteria. When women do come across our desk, we make sure we look into their lives a little more carefully before dismissing them. The bar for a New York Times obituary is really high. To give you an example, I think it's something like 100,000 people die from one day to the next. We hear about a couple dozen, and then we have 3 writers. So, and then there are like demands for really big celebrities and people you can't dismiss. We are a newspaper. So it has to be really selective, just given our resources. But on top of that, we just don't hear about as many women. When we do, we make sure to give them more credit and highlight them and make sure we do their obit. But it's still really tricky in this research process to find them. So that's really why, and part of it is money. Since we only have 3 writers, and then if there are 3 big men that day, and then there's a woman as well, we started getting like a freelance budget from this new gender team that started at the Times about a year or so ago. So they gave us a freelance budget specifically to write obits on women, so we can hire freelance writers. But it's still a little tricky. It's really, part of it is politics and budget, but we are trying, and we have made progress.
Hey, Amy, it's me, Nadia, the running interview.
Oh, my gosh!
Yeah,
You're the one who heard me gasping for breath trying to tell my life story.
It's my passion project, interviewing people I admire on the run. So it's been a year since the whole thing started, so I wanted to ask you what's been the thing that you've been most proud of, but also what's then been the thing that's been the biggest challenge for you now, looking back since you started this whole thing.
Yeah,
Thanks for your talk.
Part of it is I'm doing this all alone. In the launch, I had a whole crew of people who were helping, but now it's really just up to me, which is a lot when you think about it with those 4,000 submissions, and then I have something like 50 assignments out to different writers, and then I'm doing all the editing and collaborating with photo editors. So resources really is kind of a big challenge still. It really is my passion project, and on top of that, it's in addition to my day job, so this is just sort of on the side. But, so that's challenging. I really wish I could do more with it. But what I'm most proud of is just, being able to highlight all these different people of different backgrounds. I'm really excited to have gotten more men of color in the projects. I'm very close to my father, who is a man of color, and it's just really important to me to highlight the struggles of those people as well, so. Thanks.
This matter issues is worldwide. Is there any plan to translate in different languages?
Some of them are translated into different languages, not all of them though. Usually if it's a figure from that country, we'll translate it and then we'll try to promote it in that country so that people can find it.
How did you find your way to the obit desk? Was it something you were interested in prior to being assigned to it?
Yeah, when I was 3, I was like, I want to work on obituaries. It was, Yeah, it's kind of interesting. People ask me, isn't it really morbid? And I'm like, it's not morbid, actually, because obits really are more about life than death. There's only one sentence talking about the death. And in fact, we laugh every day. I work with a great team of people. One of them is a stand-up comedian, so that helps. So when I joined the New York Times, which was around 8 years ago, I was a digital editor, like focused on web production and just sort of curating the website. But I wanted to get involved in more creative projects, and so I noticed that nobody was paying attention to obituaries. They didn't have a digital editor. And I noticed they had this long list of advanced obituaries for people who had not yet died. So I zeroed in on a few of them. Stan Lee was one of them. He recently died. And I started working on some sort of side projects just on my own, just because nobody else was. And then fast forward 6 years later, there was an opening on that team for a digital editor, and I said, that's something I've always wanted to do. And so I applied, and I was really lucky to get it. So no, they didn't force me there. It's not like a career ender for me, I hope. But yeah, I really went there by choice. And then Stanley died, and the one thing I got to work on with that was, I was hoping his obit could be like the style of a comic book, but instead, since it was already done by the time I got there, we did an appreciation where we commissioned Marvel artists to do a panel each about what he meant to them. So, and that was really nice.
We have time for one more. I'm curious if you've seen, sorry, over here.
Sure.
It's just such an inspiring project, and I'm curious if you've seen a ripple effect across the country or across the world about in other papers, or if other people have taken up this project as well, similarly.
Maybe. It happened all around the same time as the Me Too movement. So even though I had thought about it in advance of that, I think that had more of the ripple effects. But also, the New York Times is in a special position when it comes to obituaries. Our obits really are an art form, and there aren't a lot of newspapers in the U.S. that have specific obituary sections. It's more popular in the UK. So that's one of the reasons why I think this project was so impactful, is because the New York Times has such an authoritative voice in this area. From September 18th, 1851, day one of the New York Times publishing, we had an obituary. So we knew that it was something people cared about. Thank you.